All right, what's up guys? Today I'm going to be showing you how to replace the 3 spark plugs on the Triumph Sprint 1050 ST. We're going to start by removing the seat, then we're going to make our way down, remove the tank, then the air filter box, which is located under the tank, remove that completely. Then we're going to get access to the spark plugs. All right, so we're going to get started with the seat. To remove the seat, you're going to peel back the end of the seat and you're going to see 2 screws. I'm going to use this 9mm hex socket. All right, once you have this seat removed, go ahead and lift up and pull back. Pull up a little bit, pull back. How the seat connects is you have this tab that goes into this black, I guess, like the socket for the tab. Now, removing the tank is a little bit of a pain in the ass because what you're gonna do is you're gonna remove these 2 bolts that hold that bracket that holds the seat into place. Then you're gonna remove, there's another bolt here, and you're gonna tilt the whole tank up, or well, once you remove this bolt, you're gonna slide the tank down, then you can lift it up. You're gonna have to lift it up a little bit, put a piece of wood under there, and then you're gonna unplug all this stuff. Before I get to these 2 bolts, I like to take this plastic fairing off because easier to get there. So to get this plastic fairing off, the first thing you need to do is take off the rails for your luggage. There's 2 bolts down here, right there, you're gonna take off, and then these 2 bolts. When you take these, like this one off and this one off on the other side, you're gonna come here and you're gonna take this bolt off and this bolt off. Then this fairing slides out and you'll have easy access to this bolt for that bracket for your seat. And then there's another bolt right there for the tank hinge. So I'm just gonna get started with these 2 bolts. And again, I'm using that 9mm hex socket. You just wanna be careful, hold everything in place while you're pulling this. And then I just like to lay everything down on a blanket so nothing gets scratched up. I'm gonna go ahead and do this other side. So in case you misplace your bolts, the 2 longer ones go on the base. The 2 short ones are gonna go up here. What I like to do is when I take this off, I like to put the bolts that I got, just put them back in exactly where I pulled them out from. And then I'll go ahead and put it on top of that moving blanket so nothing gets scratched and lost. All right, the next step to remove this fairing is removing these 4 bolts. And again, I'm using that same 9mm hex socket. So once you have those 4 bolts out, you'll be able to kind of wiggle it. It's basically loose. Just kind of easily slide it out while you're spreading it apart. And I'm gonna go ahead and put it on my moving blanket so that the paint does not get scratched. All right, so here's where things can get a little bit complicated. So like I said, the first thing we're gonna do is remove these 2 bolts, this bolt right here, and then the bolt down here for the tank. This is just for your seat bracket. Okay, so this bolt is 8mm. The bottom bolt, this side I think is 9 and the other side is 8. So, maybe you'll have different size bolts. Maybe mine will replace, not sure, but the seat bracket first. And then once you get it loose, you'll be able to remove it with your hands. Just gonna go ahead and pull that bracket out. Again, you can see where the seat clip goes in and then where these bolts go. I just go ahead and screw these back on for safekeeping. All right, so hopefully this is a good angle of everything that I need to do. I got my piece of wood right here. I'm gonna go ahead and lift the tank out of that hinge. Sometimes it gets stuck there because it has rubber grommets. And then I just like to go ahead, put my wood block there. Now, you're gonna see you have your fuel line here, and don't worry, if your tank is full or if it has gas in it, this fuel line closes. So it's a pretty smart system they got going on in there. Then you got 2 electrical connections back here. So you got 2 electrical connections and a fuel line. You're just gonna go ahead and plug those off. So I just like to go ahead, grab this one, press the tab on the left side of that one, then just pull it out. So as you can see, I got one of the connectors out, and go ahead and do the same to the other connector. All right, so hopefully you can see, hopefully this is a good angle. So I got the 2 electrical connectors unplugged, these 2. I'm gonna go and move them to the side. Now this fuel line is a lot trickier. You're gonna slide this orange thing down. It's like an orange plug, if you will, and it slides up and down. It's like a protector of it. Then you're gonna try to squeeze both sides and pull it towards this side of the bike. So you're gonna squeeze both sides of the black plug and pull it towards you as hard as you can. And again, it's a little bit tricky. One thing I like to do is grab a screwdriver, push on this end on the black piece with your hand, push on the other side, pull it out. Okay, so actually all you have to do is push on one side and then the whole clip gets free, I think. No, I guess you have to push on both sides. So yeah, the clip is super weird, but stops gas from leaking out. All right, so when you have your 2 bolts out, your electrical connectors, both of them, and then this one fuel line, same with the seat, what you're gonna wanna do is you're gonna wanna push it this way and then lift it up. So I'm gonna go ahead and remove the wood block. I'm gonna take the tank, I'm gonna slide it to the back of the bike, and I'm gonna push it off. And you'll have another pipe plugged in to the end of the tank, which I just forgot about. And then you're gonna go ahead and pull the bike out, and again, or the tank out, and you're gonna see this same thing with the seat. It's this little tab that kind of slides in. I'm gonna go ahead and put this on the ground on my blanket so the paint doesn't get scratched. All right, so now you can see this is one of the tubes that was attached to there that I forgot about on the tank. You have your fuel lines, and then you have 2 of your electrical connectors. Now the air tank has 2 sensors. You're gonna push on this metal clip and then pull it out. So I like that design, it's really cool. You can go ahead and do the same to this one, except this is just regular tab on the back. You're just gonna go ahead and pull out like that. I like to go ahead, slide these somewhere to the side. All right, so to get into the air box and to remove it, if you need to, what we're gonna be doing is we're gonna take these Phillips head screws out of the perimeter. There's another Phillips in this hole. Mine didn't come with one. I bought this bike used, and I think the new air filter, the K&N one, kind of doesn't align with that. So I guess whoever was replacing the fuel filter or the air filter just did not put that back in. So then once you have all the perimeter Phillips screws removed, you're gonna go ahead and take a T30 star bit, and then you're gonna go ahead and just remove the bolt holding the sensor in, just because there is a tube that connects to the top, and go ahead and remove that tube as well. Just accidentally pulled it out of the sensor. So I guess you can also either pull the sensor out or pull that tube out. Plug it all back in later. So now what you'll be able to do, you'll be able to pull out top of your air filter box. You can see the nice throttle bodies. You got 3 throttle bodies for 3 pistons, so that looks really cool. That's why you got the 3 taillights, 3 headlights. They keep that kind of design going. Here's my air filter. Just recently cleaned it and oiled it up. K&N, as you can see, it gets pretty dirty out here. So now there's 3 bolts that hold this air filter in. There's one right here, and then there's supposed to be 2 down here, but mine only came 1 down here, 1 up here. So before you take off the 3 bolts the air filter comes with, you're gonna wanna remove these tubes. And there's a bolt right here that is like an expansion tank or something for the air, I don't know. But you're gonna wanna remove that bolt because when you pull this out, this plastic box is gonna come out with it. So to remove these tubes, I just like to grab any sort of pliers that are big enough, slide that ring off, slide this off. You can remove the whole tube if you want, but I don't think it's necessary. So we got the top tube, and then there's another one at the bottom. Just gonna slide that ring down, open it up, slide it down, and then slide that tube off. It's a little tricky, this tight spot. Once you get it off, go ahead, pop that tube off just like that. Then there's just one more on the other side. All right, and then the last tube, so this is where your fuel line goes to your tank. The last tube behind that, it's that little blue one right there. So I'm just gonna take that blue tab, I'm gonna squeeze it off, pull it down, and then just kind of slide that out. As you can see, it comes out. All right, so now you can remove the 2 bolts at the bottom and the 1 bolt at the top and the 1 bolt for that little expansion tank. And again, I believe they're all 10 millimeters. That makes it pretty easy. Never mind, the top one is an 8 millimeter. The bottom one is a 10 millimeter. So you got 2 10 millimeters here, 1 10 millimeter there, and then an 8 millimeter at the top. Your bike might be different. I don't know if the last person who worked on this switched them up. So just figure it out. And you want to be careful because some of these have washers on them, so you want to pull the washers out too. Mine did not have washers. And then I'm just going to go ahead, I'll just keep that tank there. I'm just going to take the bolts out for it. So once this last 8 millimeter is out, you'll be able to pull with some force. You'll be able to pull this air tank out because they get sealed on the throttle bodies, these tubes. So I just like to go ahead, give it a pull just like so. And then just going to pull this guy out. That expansion tank is probably gonna get stuck on something. Of course, just pull the expansion tank out. That's what it looks like. Kind of weird. Don't really know what it does. And then you're just gonna take this out. I'm gonna go ahead, take this out with me. And there's just this washer that fell in. All right, so I believe our spark plugs should be under these plugs. Cool, so here's a trick to get these out. When it's plugged in, plug these out, and then they're gonna be kind of sealed. So I like to grab the rubber, grab some of that plastic, twist it a little bit and pull it out. It should come out. Sometimes you can get stuck on there. I like to keep these these where I pulled them out from. So I'm gonna put this one on this side, and then I'm gonna have these just right there. So when you get those out, you'll be able to see the spark plug way deep in there. Just wanna say, while you are doing this, okay, I would recommend spraying this spring and cleaning it, and spraying this area for that stepper motor. A lot of times what happens is this stepper motor gets, especially during the winter, it'll get kind of seized a little bit and your bike will start idling wrongly. So what I did, I sprayed some white lithium grease here and here, wiped it down with a tissue everywhere I could, and then sprayed white lithium grease again, clean it up again, then spray it again with white lithium grease. Anyways, I'm gonna go ahead and get these spark plugs out. To get this spark plug out, I used a 5/8 socket with the rubbers on the inside. This is specifically for pulling out spark plugs. I had to use this magnet stick because when I was unscrewing it, it fell down. I just picked it up with this magnet by going in the hole. I used a long extension. Once you get it out, you're gonna, put your new ones in. Mine look like they're in pretty good condition. I'm gonna change them anyway because I did buy this bike used. Once you do all three, I'll show you how to put everything back together.
All right, so here are the stock NGK CR9EK. These are copper ones. I'm going to be upgrading to the NGK CR9EIX. These are the Iridium. We're going to be torquing the sockets down to 13 foot-pounds or 18 newton meters or 159 inch-pounds. All right, so now that we've torqued down our spark plugs and we put the boots back on, now we got the box half back on, and I'm going to go ahead and connect the tube to the air sensor. I'm going to go ahead and bolt the air sensor back down. Then we're going to go ahead and put the Phillips head screwdrivers all around the perimeter. Then go ahead and connect all your air filter or your air sensors. Double check to make sure that all your hoses are plugged in. We're going to go ahead and put the tank in, slide it up, and try to get it in that little notch. And then you're going to go ahead, drop it down onto that little bracket. You're going to go ahead and drop it down, put a piece of wood up there so you can connect all the sensors you need to. There's going to be 2 sensors and 2 fuel lines. You have one sensor that's orange, it's going to be to the right side of the bike, and the black sensor is going to be to the left side of the bike. Then you'll have one fuel sensor to the left side, and then you have the main, one fuel line to the left side, and then the main fuel line is going to be this one that you're seeing right here. You're going to go ahead, plug it in there, push that orange thing back up, and go ahead and put the tank back on the hinge. Then you're going to put your bolt in, slide it in there, make sure it goes to the other side, go ahead and tighten it down. Just hand tight, should be good enough. Then you're going to go ahead and put the bracket for your seat back in. You're going to want to make sure you angle it properly so that when you put the seat in, it sits flush with the whole motorcycle. So in the video right here, I did a little bit too high. I'm going to have to readjust it and put it a little lower. Probably going to have to readjust it again because it is sitting a little too high on that side, on the front side. Anyway, so now we can go ahead and put the fairings back on. You're just going to spread it apart and then slide it on. Then you can go ahead and put your 4 bolts. Again, these are the 9mm hex sockets. Then you can go ahead and put your luggage racks back onto the bike, and these are same 4 bolts that are 9mm hex. Once you got that on, you can go ahead and put your seat back on, slide it forward, then you got the last 2 bolts, and you're done. Thanks for watching.